Well, greetings to you from Tokyo, to Dr. Chris Candia and all my fellow cohorts. Just got back from a trip to American Samoa to visit my mother. It has been a great experience to be there, and there will be a part that I want to share in this video that has to do with the discussion that we have about missions and their effectiveness and how we can learn to adapt and to find ways that we can effectively communicate the most important message ever given to us, and that is the message of the gospel of Christ. Since the beginning of this course, I have challenges. First, in my own mind, how I can learn to adapt to new ideas, learn to some new ways of doing missions. Since as a teenager, I have been involved in missions almost, I think, all of my life, from since I was 19 to now at this very tender young age of 56. Anyway, so missions wasn't something new in that respect to me, but I must say through the course I have learned to expand a little bit more, to make room and to adapt, and sort of like rearranging furnitures in your house. And that's sort of the kind of experience that I have been having with this course that we're a part of. Missions has always been something that I enjoy doing, and since that's the only thing that I've done throughout my whole entire adult life. And I love what I think Hunter and James Davison, in their mandate for missions, is that the passion to engage the world, to shape it, and to finally change it for the better would seem to be an enduring mark of Christians on the world in which they live. To be Christian is to be obliged to engage the world, pursuing God's restorative purposes over all of life, individuals and corporate, public and private. And that's out of page 4 of their book, Change the World, the irony, the tragedy, and the possibility of Christianity in the late modern world. Now, I love that aspect of mission, is to engage the world. Here in Asia, we have studied about the movement of Christian populations in the world, and after all, here in Asia, globalizations have brought the largest economic powerhouses in this side of the world, being China and Japan, and the other countries like Singapore, Taiwan, Korea, the tigers of the economy here in Asia. Another thing that is very noticeable in Asia is a shift in the mega church movement. The largest churches are here in Asia. So I can certainly say agree with the stats that we have been learning in the course, that it's moving toward these directions, and Africa. So, but we have a world to engage. So in this course, it really helped me to rethink a lot of things that I have been engaged in making sure that I am able to influence or lead our young people or our young leaders into a passion that wants to engage the world with a message of Christ. So that has been a great challenge for me personally. Uh, it was wonderful to have that time in New York where all of us, see each other in person, and just to listen to Dr. Chris Candia, and just an amazing discussions among ourselves, and to see how much we have been stretched, learn about leadership, learn about missions, learn about how to effectively reach out. Another aspect of this course that I have learned is the challenge of short term missions. I love short term missions. Short term missions brought me here. That was the intention when I first came to Japan in 1983. I thought I was going to be here for only 3 months. Well, God has other plans, and now I've been here for little over 30 years, to be exact, about 35 years of involvement here in Japan, and God has a sense of humor. So, yes, there are some challenges in short-term missions, typically because of the way we operate, which is, now to think about it, that is still always the way short-term missions operate on time, their time, not necessarily the folks that they are trying to reach. I had a classic example just in this last trip to American Samoa to visit my mom. My mom had lost her house, and I've started a GoFundMe page, and I'm just so grateful to the amazing generosity of strangers and friends, and those who hardly knew me, but they responded because there was a need. Now the government, the U.S. government, also you know, have their agency responded to this need. Now the only problem is the promise of the help is there, but the way the American Samoan people move is a bit on a turtle pace, so I was there hoping to speed up some things to really help my mom, but there are other things that are beyond your control, and that is the other people who are involved as well, and those are the ones who will move and change things according to their time frame. So I was struggling because I was only going to be there for only 8 to 9 days, but I realized that they have a process of doing things there that does not necessarily work well with my time frame, because I am pushing to see a house built to prepare things for my mom, but there are other elements of that equation there that makes it difficult to accomplish the purpose that I desire. So I look at this short-term mission contrast, or the challenges that they face with the local folks. That was something that it really reminded me as we learn how to utilize our short-term missions wisely. Some people may not like short-term missions, but I certainly love short-term missions, only if we can help train them to relook at their purpose, to make sure that they're not going there for their own time's sake, and then to help them achieve the goal and the purpose of why they want to come in the first place. Because I think God laid something on their hearts and they have a message to carry. But for those like in my place who've been involved in missions and most of my life living out here in this mission field, like most of you live in your local mission field, to grow cross-culturally, this is certainly an area that I have been challenged by, and through this course now make it real clear how to work with short-term missions. Like I said, they are operating from both different world, but if we can utilize and help teach each other, educate each other about the importance of their willingness to come with a cultural sensitiveness, and also to find out first. Some time ago in our mother church, a group of young people wanted to come over here to Japan for missions. I was called into their meeting, and they shared with me what they wanted to bring to the missions. And I asked them what is the purpose of their missions, and so they told me that they wanted to share Christ, and also they wanted to teach the Japanese leadership. Now that was quite an interesting take, because I look at all these young people. They're college students, and some of them are a little younger than they're still in high school, but they want to talk about leadership. When I asked them a question, simply, I don't want it to be to rain on their parade for missions, but I wanted them to make sure that they understand what they want to do in Japan. I think a lot of times when we get excited about going to missions, we often prepare the way we know how to prepare, and then we expect that that's what people needed. While in that meeting, I suggested to them, has any one of you led anything? Well, I was surprised to know that there's only a few, maybe one or two, but not the kind of leadership that I was expecting that they wanted to teach you in Japan. So I simply say to them, listen, I think you're going to waste your time, because you're bringing something that nobody's asking. You have to respond, prepare yourself, and bring yourself to that place where people are asking and you provide the answer. But also, you also have to be aware that you're not there to teach anybody, and you're not there trying to change anybody, because that's the work that belongs to the Holy Spirit, but that you're there just to love people and to serve people and to be aware and learn. And maybe your real ministry might take place on their second trip or the third trip after you know the lay of the land. And that is often the interesting thing, that there is willingness in the hearts of many STMers, but there's also a need to match that with reality. Find out first how you can effectively minister to others. So that is a good thing I've learned. Also, in this last trip to American Samoa, I was called into a mission seminar. I wasn't planned to be there. Somebody heard that I was coming, and they wanted me to share about my experience in missions. And again, I was quite surprised that most of the preparation they were doing, they were so well versed in the scripture. And all of these are pastors and leaders in American Samoa that were part of this. There were about 60 leaders that got together and learned about how to do global missions. But I was quite surprised to find that they were all well versed in the Bible. They know scriptures about missions. They know about going. But the problem they face is that none of them knew what the culture they were about to go in is like. So through this course here with Dr. Candia, it helps me open my eyes to these short-term missions where people can prepared before they're going. So I remember sitting with one pastor at lunch while I was there last week, and he was so excited about missions, and he was telling me he was going to the Philippines. And now, again, this is a subject of globalizations that has a blessing and a challenge. Um, and I think for me, this trip in to New York has helped me understand the globalization movement, the way we went from places to places and try to imagine uh, what happened there and all the immigrants and all that. So, um, being in American Samoa, and I had lunch with this young pastor, and we were sitting, and I asked him, "So you are ready for mission?" And he said, "Yes, I am." And then I asked him a question: "Where are you going for mission?" He says, "I'm thinking about going to the Philippines with my wife." So his wife was there with him, and they had great heart. So I asked him, "Are you prepared? Do you know the culture?" And they said, "No, we're just doing some readings and all that." I said, "But good, but you know all the informations um, are good that you read, but I think there's another way you can do it." Now this is where that globalization part comes in. I said, "You know, every time I've come to American Samoa, I hear the people there complaining about the Filipinos are there and they're taking jobs. The Chinese, straight from China, are running stores, and they're running up stores everywhere in almost every village that is in American Samoa." And I was quite surprised that they were talking about going to mission. So I asked them, you know, it's good to read about it from others, but you know, I think God is so amazingly wise that you can actually go and befriend some of these Filipinos that we complain so much about it, and bring them and help and ask them to teach you their culture, because they are here. You don't, you know, you prepare here before you go. A lot of times people wants to go there before they do proper preparations to missions. So I said, "Have you ever befriended any of these Filipinos who are that we're complaining about?" And the pastor said, "No, I never thought of it that way." I said, "Yeah, you see, you didn't have to go there to the Philippines to do missions. God brought the Filipinos to you. But we oftentimes complain because they are doing this or that or that. But have you ever seen it from God's perspective? That God, who's a global God, brought these people here for your sake. Now, if you started befriending them, there's a lot of them now in American Samoa, and they will reach one another. You know, sometime they're going to go home. But you know what they're going to bring with them? The mission. They're going to bring Christ back home with them. And you don't have to go reach the Filipinos or the Chinese. So we complain about the Chinese, but these are the Chinese that are running stores here. Have you ever befriended them? And you know, it was quite an amazing observation. He was quite surprised. He didn't thought it that way. He only read books about it. I said, "Yeah, well, God is wise. He has brought people here just for you to reach them first. Don't expect to reach the Filipinos over there, and you haven't reached them while God has brought them in your doorsteps." And that was a very good discussion, and part of that it came from this this course that we have been learning together. And I really with the discussions that we've been having on our course, has been really helpful, enlarging my mind, helping me to understand again the importance of being sharp, well informed in missions, and how I can train my emerging leaders how to prepare for missions and ministries. So, you know, I want to say thank you to all that you've done for us in leading us through this course. The reading has been brutal, sometimes challenging, stretching. Uh, the the amazing exchange on our discussions. Thank you to all my fellow cohorts for a great season of learning. I guess we can never stop learning, even if you think you knew something about the subject matter. There's always another perspective, and I'm grateful for the perspectives I've learned in this course. Um, Thank you again, and God bless. Sayonara.